is TVB. How's everyone doing tonight? This is going to be part 4 of Top 9 Week, and I want to apologize that I didn't make this video yesterday. I'm recording this at 7:07 on Monday, January 6th. I was going to last night, but I had something come up, and by the time I was available, I was just too tired to record this, honestly. But yeah, I'll get to the rest of this list week for the rest of this week. So I'll be making this video tonight, and then I'm hopeful, fingers crossed, I can see Anora after I get off work tomorrow finally, and review it, as well as share my 9 most anticipated films of 2025. And my last 2 videos, I want to leave those kind of a surprise. We'll go up on Wednesday and Thursday, ideally, if things go according to plan. Yeah, I just wanted to clarify about that. My apologies. Anyways, these are my picks for the top 5 movies of 2015. These are the films that turned 10 years old this year, and 2015 was such a crazy year for me, back then, because I'm just gonna say these right now. My honorable mentions, from 2015, Jurassic World, which was, by the way, my very first movie review. And, that movie came out June of that year when I was an incoming junior in high school. As well as a Brooklyn, Peanuts movie, Inside Out, Ex Machina, Avengers, Age of Ultron, Spotlight, The Hateful Eight, and Room. It's just, I'm honestly dumbfounded that these movies are turning 10 years old this year, because, like I said, Jurassic World was the first movie I ever reviewed on my YouTube channel. 2015 was the year that started movie reviewing. When I started to review movies, I turned 17 that October, when I was when I was a high school junior, and at that point, I got I had to retake the driver's test, that semester, and I got my driver's license finally, that fall, so I was finally old enough to drive and see R-rated movies without my parents. So I started reviewing movies in 2015, but I didn't start reviewing them, making movie reviews on a weekly basis, regularly on a consistent basis, until 2016. There's still a lot of films I saw in 2015 that I never reviewed, and there's some of these movies I actually haven't had a chance to see until more recently, in the past few years. I didn't, since it wasn't as, I was still new to movie reviewing back then, I didn't make a top 9 or top, best or worst list for the films that turned, for the films in 2015, how I do nowadays. I didn't really start doing that until 2016, when, that year, that 2017, so, January of that year, when I was still a senior in high school, when I had, seen enough movies from 2016 to make both a best and a worst list. That was when I started doing, list videos on a regular basis about the best and worst films of the years that just, the respective year that just ended. But however, back in 2015, I did make a video ranking all the films that I had seen that year from worst to best. And I decided to revisit that video yesterday as I was getting ready to make this one, and oh my goodness, that was a trip down memory lane. She's just seeing 17-year-old me just talking about ranking all the different movies and putting 50 Shades of Grey at the absolute bottom. I still have faith in Dakota Johnson that she can turn her career around, though, after firing her agents after Madam Web last year, but I digress. Anyways, let's get to the list. Number 5! My 5th favorite movie of 2015 goes to The Martian. 2015 was a really great year for science fiction, because we had this and, 2 other films we'll get to later on the list. But yeah, The Martian was an adaptation of a novel that I've really considered reading at some point, where Matt Damon plays an astronaut, and he's left behind by the other astronauts, not on purpose, if I remember correctly from the film. And he has to learn how to survive on Mars and be the Martian, right? And he's just so hilarious in doing so. You think this would be such a serious film with Matt Damon, shoved in this grim situation. It's oh no, I'm stranded on Mars, I gotta learn how to survive. But no, there's so much humor, and there's such a sense of heart, and this film such beautifully balances out both heart and drama. And 2015 was at the Oscars that year. This film, as well as 3 other films we'll get to, and what was the other best visual effects nominee that year? Oh crud, let me just look it up really fast. Best visual effects, Ex Machina, that's right. Ex Machina was Oh, it won the. That's the film that won the Oscar Best Visual Effects that year. But honestly, back then when I read the award nominees, I was just like, oh hey, The Martian and Ex Machina and 3 other films that are up for Best Visual Effects. I could have seen it going to any of them. And yeah, The Martian was such a beautifully well shot film, and yeah, just totally worth it for Matt Damon's performance. My number 4 spot, speaking of Best Picture and Best Visual Effects nominees, my number 4 spot goes to The Revenant, the film that gave Leonardo DiCaprio his long overdue Oscar as he plays the guy in like the frontiers during the 1800s when Fitzgerald, who's played by Tom Hardy, kills Leonardo DiCaprio's Native American son, so he has to go on a whole revenge quest. And the bear scene! Oh my gosh, who could possibly forget the bear scene with the mother grizzly bear attacking Leo DiCaprio? And I've always said this on my channel, I've been saying it for years. You don't need to make a movie rated R for it to be good, right? And something that's always bugged me is when people assume that something is good just because it has violence or profanity or sex or nudity or or drug use or whatever else. But this is when your main plot point is Leonardo DiCaprio gets mauled by a bear. There better be some gory details, otherwise it would just look stupid. I really think that this film was so gritty and so graphic, and it's definitely not the easiest film to watch. But it's The Revenant, Alejandro Inarritu, if I'm mispronouncing his name, my biggest apologies. The cinematography was, oh my gosh, it wasn't one consecutive shot the whole film like Birdman was, but he just is such a legend at just drawing out the same shot over a long period of time. This film was gorgeous, and it's raw, and it's just the action. The action scenes in the adventure is just so on point, and it's definitely a contemporary classic. My third favorite film of 2015 goes to Star Wars The Force Awakens. Now, say whatever you want about the sequel trilogy from Star Wars, they're definitely not without their flaws. For sure, because I'm the only Star Wars fan who still likes The Last Jedi and the other the only Star Wars film that I flat out dislike is Attack of the Clones. Phantom Menace, it's a dumb movie, but it's a guilty pleasure of mine, and I really like Revenge of the Sith, but I really like the Star Wars sequel trilogy as well as Rogue One, and I liked Solo for what it was, but yeah, none of those will ever live up to the same standards as the original trilogy. But yes, Force Awakens, it was just this film put John Boyega and Daisy Ridley on the map. Back in 2015, they instantly household names, and I loved seeing them connect with some of the old classic characters like Han Solo and Chewbacca and Princess Leia. Carrie Fisher, may she rest in peace. And just seeing, and Kylo Ren was played by Adam Driver, such a great villain, and the action scenes and the CGI and how this film beautifully mixed both CGI and practical effects was just mind-boggling back then, and it still kind of is to this day, because obviously Star Wars has always been such a revolutionary franchise for visual effects, and J.J. Abrams' direction really carries that through. And yeah, honestly, I used to say that The Last Jedi was my favorite out of the Star Wars sequels and all the newer Star Wars films we've had. I honestly don't know what my favorite is anymore. I'd say my 2 least favorites are probably either Rise of Skywalker or Solo. Again, I don't dislike those films as much as some people do. It's just they weren't as good as the other Star Wars films. That's all. But anyway, Star Wars fans who are watching this video right now, is Force Awakens your favorite out of the sequel trilogy? I'm sure you guys are probably going to say yes. Or do you disagree and think it's Rogue One or something else? Let me know in the comments. Number 2! No! Okay. My second favorite film of 2015. My gosh, this film, I remember seeing it in theaters with John and Nick and Anthony and back then, and it was just such a ride. Mad Max Fury Road. This, Fury Road, debatably, depending on who you ask, started the whole trend of, legacy sequels ever since 2015, because this film, the 4th film Mad Max franchise, was released 30 years after Beyond Thunderdome, the third Mad Max film. And it's like, you know, forquels for movie franchises are kind of known for being very, like, you know, not being as good as, like, their predecessors. But this, like, Fury Road low-key broke that curse. And like, yeah, the visual effects, just like Force Awakens, beautifully mixes both CGI and practical effects. And it got on to, like, win 6 Oscars and be nominated for Best Picture. Like, that was just unreal. And, like, there's so many iconic moments. Like, Tom Hardy, you know, taking Mel Gibson's role as, you know, Mad Max. Is like, the film is pretty reliant on visual storytelling, because Max doesn't say too much throughout the film, but whenever he does, like, you just shut up and listen. And for the most part, his face just says it all. And he has such great chemistry as Charlize Theron as, you know, Furiosa, who got her own movie with Anya Taylor-Joy last year. It's just a shame that Furiosa Mad Max saga bombed the box office as hard as it did, but I digress. Yeah, like, Fury Road is just the action scenes, the fire guitar guy, Immortan Joe, just so many iconic moments. Like, geez. These kinds of films make me want to visit Australia more, honestly. Alright, my number one favorite movie of 2015, and this is what I picked, you know, as my, you know, for the best film of the year, back then when I made that video ranking all the 2015 films I had seen from worst to best. And you know what? After some further consideration, I still stand by that. My favorite film of 2015 is Straight Outta Compton, which, this was like, I'm aware of this film's historical inaccuracies. There's a lot of, you know, the not safe for work side of NWA that this film treaded very lightly on. But, like, just still, like, this film brought NWA's, like, biopic, just, it all came to life. And I remember seeing this movie as a 16-year-old and just being, like, so blown away by it. Because I heard all the guys, like, in my cross-country team back then just, like, hyping up, be like, oh, you guys have to check out Straight Outta Compton. It's, like, the biopic movie for NWA, you know, the N-words with attitude. And it's just, like... And I saw that movie and I was just like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Like, this film, I'm more of like an alternative and metal and rock and roll listener. Like, I think anyone's been watching my videos for long enough now probably knows that. Like, I'm definitely like, you know, there are no bad genres of music. There are just bad artists from said genres, I feel like. And this film made me appreciate rap so much more as a 16-year-old, because before that, it's like, yeah, I loved Eminem and, like, Macklemore and Ryan Lewis, but I never really, like, could get myself to get into most rap. And, like, I remember when I got my driver's license that year, I bought the Straight Outta Compton CD, like the film's soundtrack, and I played that because my car at the time didn't, like, have any aux cord capability, so I had to play CDs while I was driving it, and I would just play the Straight Outta Compton soundtrack, you know, with NWA just on it all the time while driving around. And, like, O'Shea Jackson Jr., Ice Cube's son, plays his father in this film, which was not only his big break as an actor, but still to this day, I'm, like, kind of dumbfounded by how much, like, O'Shea Jackson Jr. looks like his father. And, you know, I like, you know, there's Ice Cube and Dr. Dre and Eazy-E, may he rest in peace, and DJ Yella and MC Ren, just all these actors did such a great job playing the respective, like, members of NWA, and, like, and Paul Giamatti was great as their manager as well. Again, it's Straight Outta Compton. Again, it's not the most historically accurate biopic, and it's hard to watch for sure. But, like, I was very just emotionally moved by the film, and it earns the top spot on this list. So yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and like I said, my apologies for not making it a little sooner. That's my bad, really. So expect the end of this series to come by like Thursday, Friday, or Saturday at the very latest. And stay tuned for a Would You Rather Wednesday poll as well. I'm going to ask you guys because these are all going to be movie-themed top 9s, you know, like how it usually is at the start of every year on my channel. But my next top 9, next list week will be coming around this October for my YouTube channel's 12th anniversary. Stay tuned for what topic you guys would like me to cover, like what lists with a certain theme you'd like me to do next. But yeah, thanks for watching. Stay beastly.